Well, meat prices coming down. We look forward to this sort of inflation, but at the same time, Stats SA is saying food price inflation now 3.7%. Was 4.4% in January. You may remember an interview we did with the CEO at Shoprite, Peter Engelbrecht, a couple of weeks ago, and he told us their food price inflation was just 0.7%. You may remember my reaction. I was quite surprised. Dr. Stuart Theobald is the head of consultancy, Krutham. Stuart, good evening. How can it be that Stats SA can have food price inflation figures of around 4%, call it? Shoprite has food price inflation of just 0.7%.
I think it's an interesting contrast that demands an explanation, Stephen. And substantially, it comes down to a difference of methodology. The Stats SA methodology involves measuring a basket of goods that have 65 different items in that basket when it comes to food and beverages. And it goes out monthly and sends field workers into stores who look at prices and record them. Now, that basket is meant to represent the typical consumer's basket, but it's determined only every 5 years. And the last time it was done was back in 2023. And it's based on a survey of households who tell Stats SA what they consume typically. Now, things change. 2023, we were in the middle of load shedding. There was probably a great deal more candles in that basket than there would be now. And of course, prices shift in the interim, and people might consume more of things that get cheaper and less of things that get more expensive. And in the standard approach of measuring prices every month according to a basket determined 4 years ago, you're likely to become detached from what consumers are actually doing day to day in the stores, especially when stores are, quite dynamic in their pricing. So you will see things like Black Friday specials, etc., that mean the average price that a store is charging might vary from what a field worker would see when they go in to look at prices on the shelves. So your actual prices that consumers are paying that Shoprite will know from its systems can diverge considerably from the prices that Stats SA is measuring. And that's what seems to have happened in this example.
I realize parts of the economy will be very difficult to measure. So spaza shops, the informal sector, quite difficult to get numbers out of. But could Shoprite and Spar and Pick and Pay have all of these numbers? I mean, could they be asked to share it with Stats SA? I can imagine there might be some reasons they'd rather not.
Well, I think that there is something to explore there. You're right that measuring prices in the informal sector is difficult, and the CPI basket has been criticized in the past for failing to properly capture what people are paying outside of the formal sector. But within the formal sector itself, in today's communications environment, there are potentially straightforward ways that Stats SA could obtain data from the likes of Shoprite, Pick and Pay, Spar, who between them are way more than half of all of the food and beverages consumed in the country. So that kind of opportunity is already being explored by statistics agencies elsewhere. For example, there's a project in the UK between the Office of National Statistics and the supermarkets to see if they can set up channels to directly obtain scanning prices, scanning data from the tills in those stores as probably a better and potentially cheaper way of collecting data than sending field workers out to go and read prices, which lends itself to lots of potential distortion. So I think the answer should be yes, Stephen. There are things that could be done, and we should be exploring them.
Dr. Stuart Theobald, thank you. Head of Krutham, really appreciate it.